Hello and welcome to Looking for Pythagoras 2.4. Today's learning target is we want to use the volume of a cube to find a length of an edge of a cube and be able to find the square root and cube root of numbers. Now, previously, we have been working with area equals side length squared. So we've been finding area, which means if we know the length of one of the sides of a square, we can find the area. Well, a volume takes it one step further, okay? And now we have cubes instead of just squares because we have depth or volume that we're adding. So what we add is a height measurement to it. So we have length times width, and in a square both length and width are the same, so we would say side squared. But now we also have height, so we have length times width times height. Or instead of calling it a side for an area, with volume, we're going to call it an edge, and E equals edge, V equals volume. So volume equals edge times edge times edge, because in a cube, all of the edges are of the same length, just like in a square, all of the sides are the same length. So if we want to shorthand this, volume equals edge length cubed. Okay, the 3 up here as an exponent means cubed. Where we had the 2 was squared, now the 3 is cubed. And if we want to find volume and we know the edge length, we just cube or multiply that number times itself 3 times. But if we have the volume over here and we want to know what the edge length is, we are going to take what's called the cube root of that. So we have the same sign looking like the square root does, but now we write a 3 up there, and that tells us the cube root, which means whatever number this is, we need to find the number that if we multiply it times itself 3 times will give us this number. So let's see if we can break this down a little more. Here in 2.4 we talk about cube roots, and let me give you an example. Okay, over here in the blue, if we had -2 cubed, that would be -2 times -2 times -2, and that is going to give us -8, because a negative times a negative times a negative gives us a negative. Whereas if we have 2 cubed, a +2, we're going to have 2 times 2 times 2. Well, 2 times 2 is 4, and times 2 again gives us 8. Okay, so that is 2 cubed gives us 8. Okay, it would be the root. 2 would be the root of the cubed value of 8. So if we look down another one, if we want the cube root of 8, okay, that means we need to find what number times itself 3 times will give us 8, and that is 2. As we proved up here, 2 cubed equals 8, so therefore the cube root of 8 equals 2. Well, again, if we want a cube root of a negative number, it is going to be a negative number, so the cube root of -8 equals -2, as we first showed up here. Okay, and the other difference is from with cubes, cube roots and square roots. We remember back when we did the square root of 4, we found out that we could have 2 answers, 2 and -2. Well, because we're multiplying a number 3 times, you don't get 2 answers, you only get 1. Okay. If you want to read through this, pause the video and read through this. You can do that, but I'm not going to hold you up in that. But I do want to read with you down here. It says, in general, if the volume equals E cubed, then E is the cube root of V. Because 2 times 2 times 2 equals 8. 2 is the cube root of 8. Okay, the root, the base of coming up with 8. If we need to find a cube root value. Because -2 times -2 times -2 equals -8, -2 is a cube root of -8, as we showed up here. Okay, we can use the symbol cube root to indicate the cube root for any number n, and cube root of n indicates the cube root of n. For example, cube root of 8 equals 2, cube root of -8 equals -2. It wants you to ponder how is finding the cube roots the same or different from finding square roots. Well, that's something I want you to think about a little bit, but I'm going to show you some answers here. 1 cubed equals 1 times 1 times 1, or 1. Okay, 2 cubed equals 2 times 2 times 2, or 8, as I try to do this right-handed. 3 cubed is 3 times 3, which is 9, times 3 again gives us 27. Okay, so cube root, or 3 cubed is 27. 4 cubed, 4 times 4 is 16, times 4 again is going to give us 64. Okay, and then 5 cubed is 5 times 5 is 25 times 5 more is 125. All right, so that's how cubing numbers works. And if you need to slow this down and play it back, go ahead and do that. Now we're looking for the roots. For what number do we multiply times itself 3 times to get the number that's inside the cube root here? Well, cube root of 125 is going to be 5. Okay. The cube root of 64, so we look over here, is going to be 4. Cube root of 27 is going to be 3. Okay. And the cube root of negative 8 is going to be negative 2. And the square root, cube root, any root of 1 is 1. So I hope that helps you out there a little bit. All right, so if we look at problem 2.4, it says find the edge lengths of cubes with volumes of 1, 27, 64, and 125 cubic units, and find the values of the cube root of these numbers. And if you want to look back to our previous page, you can do that and get some tips and hints on that. I want you to do parts A, B, and C of problem 2.4. I'm only showing you A and B here, but I also want you to do part C. Also at the bottom I say how to do cube root on a calculator. Well, take a little look here. This is kind of like your calculators. And if you click on this math symbol that's right here, then it will pull up. Okay, if you want the cubed value, you can use this if you already have your number in. If you want the cube root, then you're going to have the cube root right here, or maybe sometime we're going to be doing even other powers that we want roots of, so you can select part 5 there. But that's how you get to cube roots. I'm going to let you play around with that a little bit. Do A and B here, where again we're finding the various missing numbers. Find X, find the missing numbers here and here, answer these questions here. So do A, B, working with cubed roots, and then part C you're going to do without a calculator and do some estimates of cube roots of 10 and things like that. Then if you get through all of that, then you can start on some ACES questions that begin on page 32. I want you working on 47 through 58 and 60 through 64. So I hope this has been helpful. And again, if you get confused a little bit, don't understand what's going on, back up, watch the film again after you've seen all the questions here. All right. So good luck, and I'll see you next time.